Welcome back to another Outlook VBA tutorial. So today we are going to talk about our next item, and our next item that we will be covering is the contact item. So as we've discussed in previous videos, Outlook has a ton of different items. There's journal items, mail items, appointment items, contact items. There's so many different items out there. It's kind of hard to even list them all. So we're trying to go through them one by one and then start exploring how we can use them. This is going to be a relatively short video. You'll find right away that when it comes to contacts, a lot of the times you're just getting property or you're setting a property. And so once you know that, it's very repetitive and it kind of doesn't warrant a very long video. And so what we're going to be showing you is how to access a contact, um, grab some properties, and then at the same time, we'll also show you how to display a contact and then save a contact to an external file source. And we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like. Okay, so first things first, what we are going to do is, well, let me jump back to it. If you haven't already, you want to make sure you go to your developer tab and then go to Visual Basic, open up your Visual Basic editor. And then if you haven't, you want to make sure you insert a new module. So right click that modules folder, click insert, and then do module. And then from here, we're going to just write our subroutine. And so the first thing that we need to do is we need to write, not a, sub working with contact item. Oh, okay. We're going to declare our variables, just like all the other previous VBA videos. We want to make sure we declare our variables. That way we can leverage IntelliSense and code completion. So very important you do that. First one that we're going to do is going to be an Outlook item. This is just going to be a broad object type. The thing that happens when you're working with Outlook folders is you do have to keep in mind that they will often have multiple item types. And if you're looping through all the items in a folder, it's very easy to encounter errors because if you're calling certain properties or you're using certain methods with certain items that don't have those properties or methods, it's naturally going to raise an error. So normally what I find myself doing is I'll loop through a folder and I'll loop through the individual items and I'll select the items that I want to work with. And I usually have some type of if statement that will allow me to identify the items I care about. Now, the items we care about in our example will be contact items. So I'm going to create a new variable called Outlook contact item. This will be a contact item object. And then from here, we're going to do Outlook name. This is going to be our namespace object. And then finally, we're going to have a folder object. This is going to represent an Outlook folder object. And then from here, we can start assigning some of these variables to their respective objects. And so the first one is going to be the namespace object. So we're going to set Outlook name equal to application. And then we're going to do get namespace. And then it's MAPI. And I learned something the other day. MAPI apparently stands for Message Application Program Interface. So messaging API. I didn't know that. I thought it was some other thing, but I learned something new every day. So now you know. I didn't know that. Maybe some of you wanted to know that. Okay, then from here we have our namespace. Our namespace contains all the different folders that we have access to in our particular Outlook application. And so normally what you do is you take your namespace and then you get the folder that you care about. Now in this case, define the contact folder. So there's a lot of different folders inside of Outlook. In this example, we want the contacts folder. And so we're going to say Outlook name. And then there's a get default folder method. And you can see here, there's all these different folders in here that we care about. So there's the calendar, the conflicts, their contacts, deleted items, so on and so on. Now in our case, because we're working with contacts, we're going to want the contacts folder. we now have a folder object, and your folder object contains items. It can contain multiple items. So for example, I could have a distribution list. I could have a, what is it? There could be actual individual contact items. So lots of different things inside of there. So the goal is that we're going to loop through each of those items and, maybe print some information about it. So loop through all the items in the folder. And so we're going to say for each Outlook item in Outlook folder.items, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to go to the next one first. And from here, we need to do a couple different things. So right now we're looping through items. These are very broad items. We're not doing anything super specific. But what we're going to do is we're going to ask a very simple question. Check the item type. So we're going to ask the question, if Outlook item, and there is a class property that is associated with an item object, if that class property equals OL contact, then we know it's a contact item. And if we know it's a contact item, what we're going to do next is we're going to reassign it to the variable. And so we're going to set that Outlook contact item equal to the Outlook item, so the broad item object. Now at this point, I can test it out a little bit and you can see nothing really happened, but we didn't get any errors, which is good. So what we're going to do next is we're going to print some details about our particular item, whatever it might be. So print some details. Again, we're not going to go through every property just because there's, I want to say there's like close to 50 or something like that. It's some insane amount, and it's a lot of it's just, again, it's just information. I mean, you can see here, there's business address, there's all the, just tons and tons of attributes. And a lot of this is just more information about your contact. So nothing too crazy, just, again, a lot of different information. And so naturally, we don't have to necessarily go through every one. So maybe we want to care if they have a picture, for example, or maybe we care about their birthday, right? So we care about their birthday. We want their birthday in there. Or maybe we care about their, I don't know, their company, something like that, right? So we'll say company, something easy, right? So the idea behind it is there's a ton of information there. What you want to do is be able to print that information. I'm going to put a little bit of a line break in here, just so that way it's a little bit easier to see the difference. And so let's take a look and see what we get. So you can see, so this is actually my own personal one. So I have a lot of different birth dates in here of my friends, and some have no birth dates, some have their company listed. So I have one friend who works at Facebook and all sorts of different stuff. But again, this is naturally how you would get this information. Again, you can also set this information here. So I can say, hey, for contact 2, I want their name to be blah, 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 blah. So that's actually really nice too if you want to do like a bulk update. Now, if that is something people do want to see, if something people would maybe be interested is how we can do a bulk update of our contacts, I'd be happy to write a video on that and then give you some options on what you could do. Now, what I'm going to do from here is I am going to do one final thing, which is I'm going to show you how to run the display method. This one it's very, very simple. Nothing, again, remotely complicated about this one. All you do is you just call the display method. So that will display the contact card. And you'll see in a second. Yeah, so again, nothing. It's one of my friends, Jarek. And then what you can also do is you can also save your contact to an external file. So this is the last thing we're going to talk about. In this case, I'm going to save it to a Word document. Now, the only reason I'm going to do a Word document is it's a little bit confusing and it does cause an error if you don't do it correctly. So I'm going to say save as a Word document. And so I'm going to say, oh, look, contact item. And then I'm going to do save as. I need to provide a path. So this is a path to wherever I want to save it. Now, in this case, I'm going to go to my personal, and I'm going to go to my desktop. Bam. Alrighty. I'm going to put that little / there. I want it to be a little bit more dynamic, so that way if I was to do this multiple times, I'm not going to get an error because I'm overwriting my existing file. So ideally, I should only have one person who's named the person I'm putting out there. At least that would be the idea behind it. I know some people have obviously the same name and stuff like that, but we're just going to assume that we have a unique list of names for a second. I want mine to be a Word document object. So in this situation, it's very, very, very important that you do .doc and not docx. So this one will return an error. So docx will return an error. This one will not return an error. And the only reason I knew that is because I tried it. So initially, you have an option of the different types that you can save it as. So there's like a text file, there's a document file. What else is all there? There's something else on there too. Ooh, Outlook, something like this. Outlook VBA, contact item. I can't remember exactly what it was all, but it was somewhere in here. Methods? Yes, save as, there it is. You can actually see too, honestly, there's not a ton of different methods here. A lot of them is pretty straightforward: copy, delete, mark as task, print out, remove picture. Nothing super complicated or very unique. It's kind of just doing everyday operations behind it. If you want to add like a picture, that might be kind of useful if you want to add a picture to it. But here you can see the different types. So there is a contact card, OLLCal, I don't know what that is, Unicode message, HTML, OL message, RTF, template, doc, TXT. So different ways of saving it. It really depends on what you're trying to do. That's just kind of what determines it. In this case, I'm going to do a Word document, and we're going to see it ideally print out something. Okay, perfect. So now I should go here, and I should see a Word doc. Bam, we got a first name and a full name. So perfect, we got everything we needed. With that being said, that's actually the end of the video. I told you it was going to be a short one. Contacts, more of the time, it's just getting information. You're not necessarily doing a lot with the object. I've always envisioned it as more of I'm getting information or I'm setting information. I'm not necessarily doing a lot with that particular object. So at this point, if you have any questions, by all means, put them down in the comments below and I will do my best to get back to you. Otherwise, in our next video, I think for VBA, I was going to cover query tables, and then I'm still looking at OneNote. I'm still trying to see what that one looks like. You can do it. It's just really awkward, but it's also kind of insightful because I think what you would see behind it is kind of how a lot of VBA works, but I don't know. We'll save that for later. Again, I'm kind of still working on seeing what it is, and then Power Query, I'm just trying to get that one back too. So thank you again for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next video.